Hey yo, welcome back to AIW's The Card is Going to Change. My name is Ronald Two Legs. As always, I am joined by AIW owner John Thorne. What's up, Thorne?
What's up? I am here.
Hell yeah. Keeping it going. We also this week have another guest with us, back again, AIW, part of the AIW commentary team, Dustin Alberti. What's up, Dustin?
Hey guys, it's great to be here.
Hell
Welcome
yeah.
back. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be back, especially to talk about AIW Leap this Thursday at the Mercury Lounge in Lakewood, Ohio.
Look at that. Already getting into the hard sell week.
Hell yeah.
That's what we're here for.
We are here for it because, much to my positivity of last week, the show is in need of some hard selling based on the ticketing. But we'll get to that in a little bit. I don't know if you listened to the pod last week, Dustin, but we dove into a little bit of Intense TV. And, you're kind of the glue that's holding it all together and, putting the pieces together, so to speak. Sewing up the body parts on the Frankenstein's monster that is Intense TV.
You're telling me I am the writer, director, Chase Oliver, my producer, editor. That's what we do. It's been slowly coming together. I just got the next couple episodes finished up today. We're gonna shoot those here shortly, and it's been very great.
Heard it here first, folks. For all those people that have been emailing me for the years, wondering how. Well, AIW finally does have a writing team.
Yeah, there I am. I am the writer. But yeah, no, it's been extremely fulfilling, honestly, like to see how successful it was these first couple weeks. Something that I just like even like I don't want to call them Jeff from Corporate skits because it was very much Jeff from Corporate himself doing all of these things. But like even seeing those things come to fruition and seeing people enjoy pretty much what I wrote, filmed, directed, like.
I wrote a little bit of it.
Become a thing. Yeah, you wrote a little bit of it.
I'll give you. I don't really write it. I give bullet points, and then you kind of pull it all together. It's kind of like, that's kind of how the whole Intense TV thing came together. Was like, I think we should do it like this, like this, like this, like this. But I just don't have time to do it, and really format it. And I said format really weird there, but format
it.
Yeah, that was very strange. But, and then you guys have kind of taken, those bullet points and, kind of, figured out because it was a lot of nonsense, especially when I threw Jeff from Corporate in there, after they were already filmed and produced, a little behind the curtain there, Jeff.
It's honestly, that Jeff from Corporate stuff was so much fun. Like, you guys will see on this week's episode, there's a couple of things, and like one of these skits that is filmed like wasn't even planned. Like people came with their own ideas, and like that's what I really am happy about with this. And I'm hoping more and more members of the roster see it as a vehicle to kind of see themselves, like a way for them to grow themselves. A little, and they can use it to their advantage too.
A little bit, I guess that's the point of this podcast is kind of dissolving the kayfabe or whatever, and just kind of getting into the nuts and bolts of stuff. But, I'll be the first to admit, when I saw the completed project, I said, well, this is exactly why we're never going to make it, guys. But it's great. It is exactly what I wanted it to be. So,
yeah, that's the fun of it.
The moose and Jeff from Corporate's hair, that was your touch there, wasn't it, Thorne?
The whole thing. I wrote that whole. I didn't specifically say moose, but I gave what I thought.
To get ready for the day.
I gave my vision of how I thought Jeff from Corporate would prepare for this big opportunity. And, the moose was thrown in. That was a little creative license, I think, on somebody's behalf. But
it was me. I'll tell you what actually happened was I was out prop shopping, and I was actually looking for like that like really brightly colored LA looks like hair gel.
Yeah, grade gel.
And I couldn't find it anywhere. And I was like, you know what's even funnier? The idea of moose, because nobody uses moose anymore.
No,
So I found Moose and
that's a good call.
went with it.
Like, I know exactly what you're talking about, like the Depp hair gel that's like bright orange or whatever.
Yeah, like super bright colored.
Yeah, 7th grade shit right there for sure.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that was kind of my vision, and it was just like, we were thinking of how to add, and listen, we understand, like, this isn't for everybody, but that's kind of the point. Like, these intense TVs can stand in their own universe, and they're, like, you can see the lineup for the show, and you can see the show, and you don't have to see intense TV at all, and you'll still enjoy the show Thursday. But, like, intense TV, it's just giving it more context. Like, it's what I've been talking about with all the stuff we've been doing, the complimentary content. Like, if you want it, like, here it is. It is there, and it's out there for everybody. If you don't want it, you're still going to see a great AIW show on Thursday, and it's really not going to impact, how you view it. But we had this idea for Intense TV for a while. We shot them at Eye for an Eye. We shot a lot of them, and then this Jeff from Corporate thing kind of like came to me after it was already shot, and I was like, well,
like a fever dream.
I was like, it just kind of, this is also how Cool As Andy came to be. It was just sometimes my brain gets going on something, and I was just like, hey, what if? And then it was like, well, these shows are written, films, edited. So that's why, there's really no context from the hosts about Jeff from Corporate, which I also don't think really needs to happen anyway. Like, I don't think that anybody would know that unless we were saying that right now. But, yeah, all the Jeff from Corporate stuff was like, it was like reshoots almost for the finished product. And just to give a little bit more context to Thursday nights, and we have this one Thursday, hopefully it, which we'll discuss, hopefully people come and support it, and we can do more of them. And then if we can do more of them, we can kind of have this kind of standalone little universe thing established on Intense TV with Jeff from Corporate, and this kind of, he's running the show thing.
This Thursday at the Mercury Music Lounge, I think we should get a decent walk up. I feel we were discussing a little earlier. I feel like tickets $20 across the board. So I think maybe some people are just waiting. There's no need. There's no front row or whatever. There's no premium seating to buy. So everyone's just gonna grab them day of. I'm thinking.
I hope. I mean, Jeff from fucking Corporate's job is on the line. I'll tell you that.
Jeff from Corporate needs to put some of his money in the marketing budget, I think.
Get out there and flyer. Just cover the Lakewood area, Jeff.
This stuff was kind of all thrown in after the fact, and I think, it really kind of added a little bit to episode 2, and, you didn't really need the host even commenting on it. Like, there was kind of almost 2 threads going on for, in a 30-minute show, which was, I thought was perfectly executed, as perfect as you can do with the, we're trying to keep them, 30 minutes bell to bell, so to speak. So, I think I think it went well. And, I think there's a lot of kind of fun and things that we can do, and like I said, it's there for the people that want it, and the people that don't want it, like, it's not going to change your enjoyment of AIW one way or the other.
Yeah. Well, you want to get into this card a little bit here for this show we have Thursday.
I don't know, Dustin. You got anything? Any other behind the curtain that you want to talk about at all?
No. Like I said, I mean, it's been very fun. Chase Oliver and I, we're also part of, as the AIW production team. We also go out to Black Label Pro. We spend pretty much 5 hours there, 5 hours back, talking almost exclusively about ideas for Intense TV. We got a lot of ideas. I mean, between the two of us and you, Thorne, like, I think it's going to end up like, it's going to really take on a life of its own. And I think it's going to almost have like a cult following amongst AIW fans. I think it's going to enhance shows so much more than people expect, or as it already has. I think once we really figure out the full scape of what this show can do, we will
Yeah, it's like a hybrid between like a bootleg Chikara and public access wrestling TV, which, what a better marriage, right? Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I've been watching I've been watching some of those, Cleveland All Pro public access master tapes and stuff, and like there's like not a lot, like there's nothing like that, but and I don't know if you know about this, but Wadsworth could certainly, if we can get him a working microphone one day, we can get him on to talk about it. But like, I don't know if you guys are hip to this or not, but there was this public access show called Sports Entertainment Productions, and Wadsworth was on it, and it was wrestling, like it was a public access show, and the whole thing was wrestling without wrestling. Like the whole show was a wrestling show with absolutely zero wrestling, and it had this like cult following in the Cleveland area. And
that's like the perfect kind of wrestling show.
Yeah, like instead of having a wrestling match, people would like settle their differences with like a hot dog eating contest or like things like that. But it was like all like everybody had gimmicks, and it was all these like weird things. And
I'm ready to bring that back. Yeah. Can we do that too?
I think there's like a YouTube channel, and Chandler Biggins was actually on it too. Now that
I was gonna say I remember somebody saying that's kind of how Biggins got more and more into the fold.
Yeah, that's where that's Biggins was on it, and Matt Wadsworth was on it, and there was like all these kind of intertwining things in like the late '90s, early 2000s indie wrestling in the show. But the show was like wrestling without wrestling, and it was like, I don't know, like stuff like that is just that like that's kind of what Intense TV is. But it's like at the same time, it's just like the shows are like the AW in-ring product speaks for itself. Like that's not goofy or silly or so I guess sometimes it is, but for the most, like the live event experience is taken very seriously, and the presentation is taken seriously. But if you can mix in some of this fun stuff with Jeff from Corporate and promos and different things, I don't know, like, why not, right? Like, and if people don't like it, people don't like it. I don't know. We're just kind of, trying to throw something at the wall and see if it sticks. Like, that's kind of the way I feel.
I definitely think the people who have watched it and give their feedback are enjoying it. So, I mean, I would say, it's going well.
Yeah, and I don't think...
Yeah, I've been kind of trying to get people's ideas about things. Some people really described it as like almost a hardcore TV, and I was like, yeah, I could see that. But
yeah, I mean that's ultimately like the kind of
what it is
formula or whatever. But like you're mixing in kind of these silly skits and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm sure there's people that think it's stupid. You know what I mean? Like it's like. But I don't know. Like I think when like we did Go for Broke, like. It was so much fun for everybody that was involved with that whole thing, because we were doing these just silly pro wrestling things, and like nobody really does a lot of stuff like that. So I think it's just there's more room to grow into something like that, and it's not going to impact what you see in the ring anyway. It's just kind of that complimentary additional content like we've been talking about for months. We finally have it kind of rolling right now.
Well, anything else, Intense TV wise before we start getting into this hard sell here?
I don't think so. I think that's about it. If anybody has any criticisms, please send them my way. I'll be sure to take them in note.
Yeah, and if anybody has any praise, send it my way.
Yeah, that's perfect.
We don't have any, there's no dark matches as far as I know, right? These are all just regular main show. Nothing was pre-show.
No, I mean, we're not streaming, so I think we got to get that out in the open too for some people that think they're going to be able to skip it and stay home and watch it. Not streaming live, I think we probably maybe could, but we haven't been in there to test it out. Like, the whole thing is still kind of in this weird feeling out process anyway, so it's just like, let's just take the pressure off of a lot of these people as well. Let them just kind of go out there and wrestle free, and not have to deal with the, hey, like, just things are a lot different when you're on Triller, especially, at the, a big show like at the Temple or the Shrine. Like, things are like constantly in motion and constantly just, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts, and it's like, let's kind of remove some of that from this experience. And, we even, we were streaming live when we were at the Winchester, and, it's just like, let's kind of remove that aspect from this thing and, give a good live experience and, let people kind of wrestle a little freer, a little looser, take the reins off a little bit more. And the show will, it'll eventually, show up on Triller Plus, but, let's just kind of let the night kind of unfold on Thursday night. So, hopefully that makes people come out. It's going to be a fun Thursday, $20, full bar, they have food, but, I did think with giving so many people kind of this, their own platform, I did think that I would see a lot of new ticket sales or just like a good pre-sale, and I've not seen either, to be perfectly honest. We're sitting pretty bad. I think we're at like 40 tickets sold for Thursday, so hopefully that changes. Hopefully the performers listening to this podcast like realize like, hey, we went through a lot of trouble to make, to kind of try to repair this relationship and, sell the Mercury Lounge and what our capabilities are. If we don't fulfill that, obviously, this is another one of those one and done situations. So, I'm not going to be doom and gloom about it. There's not a lot of, there's not a lot on the line, so to speak, other than, just basic expenses like insurance and U-Haul and, you know what I mean? Like there's some, there's some stuff, obviously, you have your Zaya Brookside and, that sort of thing, the women's match and, some upper tier AIW guys, but, it's really, it's really about a successful platform for these kind of under the radar guys coming out of the school. And I mean, if it doesn't go good, we've done everything that we can on our end to kind of provide this platform. That's kind of how I feel. And, I went through a lot of trouble, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not meant to be. We have a full schedule of, temple and shrine shows to focus on.
Yeah, I would say there's more on the line than some people think. I mean, the Thursday shows, like you said, we put a lot of effort into bringing that back, but it's a big platform for some of the guys you're not going to see on every show. And there's only so many. We talked about earlier that the roster is it's very full at the moment. And you can only put so many people on these temple and the shrine shows. And it's like this Thursday. I think the Thursday shows are pretty important, for getting some of these newer faces, some time. And if you're one of those newer faces or you don't get on the card as much, I would be trying to sell as many tickets as I can, because the more people in the building that are there to support you is always going to help your cause.
Yeah, I would agree. Honestly, almost like you said, where even if you do a pre-show match at the Temple or a pre-show match at the Tadmore, like that match isn't being seen by anybody outside of that crowd. And it's like a 4-minute match.
4 minutes,
this is your opportunity to be seen. Give yourself footage that you can send people or show people. Like, it's not just your opportunity to be seen more in AIW. This is your opportunity to become more in professional wrestling, and you have to take advantage of that. And you don't want to send a clip to somebody with 5 people in the crowd cheering for you because you sold 2 tickets to your parents and then like your grandma's there. You want a full crowd full of people, and you want people to see who you are and what you bring to the table.
And, I'm not putting it.
And this is the opportunity.
I'm not putting it all on them. Like, hey, you got to sell tickets or else. But we're like the advertising is who it is. We didn't really book big names or anything. You know what I mean? So this is kind of like. It's tough. I've purchased the social media ads just like I normally do for any AIW event, but there's just not, it's different when you're putting, Demolition on one show, and you know what I mean? You have a bunch of, local homegrown people from the AIW Academy on another flyer. It's a harder sell to the general wrestling fan. So, this is where, you have to kind of pull people in, and like, we put the women's match on there, and hopefully that helps things. But, it's, you never know how that's going to go. You know what I mean? Girls' night out events were always so hard to sell tickets to, but that's another thing, is like people are asking for more women's matches, and it's like, we put one on, you know what I mean? Like, how bad do you want more of them? And that's no disrespect to the the female talent or anything like that, but it's like, like we can't do this stuff on every single show. That's why we're trying to establish these Thursday nights as a way to where we can kind of hit all these different things that we have not been able to do, like as far as getting more female scene, getting more of the student scene. Like there's so many different things that like it's hard to do when you're trying to have 8 matches on a show, and we have produced 40 students since the inception of the AIW Academy, on top of bringing in other attraction talents and different things, and trying to make the show stand up on a not just a local level, but on a national level, so to speak. You have to answer to streams and just different. There's so many different things that I have to do as a promoter, and different kind of avenues that I have to try to like explore as how to get the most eyes. And that's why we're trying to establish these Thursdays, is it gives us another opportunity. It gives us we're not going to stream them, so I think there's going to be 10 matches, I think, on Thursday. You know what I mean? Like there's a little bit more looser of a format, and then you need time to establish newer female talents coming in. We've had the same 3 girls that have kind of rotated around, and it's like, because we need more shows to kind of introduce new people, and that's what we're doing. Thursday, Zaya Brookside's back again for the second time, and we have a new debut coming in at kind of fresh out of, she was also in WWE Developmental, so it's just, you need you need these shows to kind of do all these things. And I know sometimes this stuff doesn't always play well or sound good or whatever, but like it's just like, I can't just, to me, like, I don't want to just put a woman's match on, say, like a Temple show for the sake of just having a woman's match, when they haven't been here or done anything in AIW, and we have like 8 storylines going on that we're trying to, find room for as well, so like, I want to use these Thursdays to establish more things like that. And then, now we have, 2 more women that are, kind of on the roster that, the crowd is familiar with, and, one can win, one can lose, one can come back, you know what I mean? Another one can, it's kind of like a domino effect. And, if it's not successful, it's, we lose these Thursdays again after one show, then, we're back to square one again. Sorry, that was kind of like a rant, and, I'm probably saying too much stuff that I shouldn't say, I guess, but,
That's
it's
what we're known for here.
Just letting you ride.
It's just, it's hard to kind of serve all these different things and make everybody happy, you know what I mean? It's just like, we were getting tweets like, oh, it's about time for, there's a women's match. And it's like, yeah, but like, there's been a lot of story building with, the production versus the production. And, there's other things going on involving female talents, as opposed to just having them wrestle for the sake of wrestling. But, Thursday, we have time to establish more, and if we do more Thursdays, we can establish more female talents, and like so on and so on, and then it's easier to kind of start a story there and build to other things. Like there's kind of like there's such a plan as far as we're concerned, like kind of behind the scenes, as to how to really maximize the use of these Thursdays to kind of, help build towards, the temple shows and the shrine shows and all the different stuff.
And I mean, sorry.
And I think part of what you're saying, no, you're fine. Part of what you're saying too, like I had mentioned, like this is kind of like the students' way to show, like, hey, like this is your way, your moment to shine. But like also for the fans, you mentioned the women's match, like specifically, we see all the time women. Where are the women's matches? We need more women's matches. Like, here's a women's match. If 40 people show up, like, is a women's match going to, like, this is like you need to show up for these things type thing. Otherwise, is it the women's match that's got to get cut? Is it the students' match that has to get cut? Is it, like, I don't know if that's like the nicest way to say it, but it's very much the fans need to show up for these things. Otherwise things go away. And it's part of, like you said, with Girls Night Out, like Girls Night Out was a great thing for women's wrestling, especially in Northeast Ohio. And really there weren't a lot of shows like that back then, but they were so poorly attended and they can only go so long before it just becomes a total loss. And that's why they haven't really been brought back. And it's not really a matter of not wanting to bring them back, or it's just the market doesn't seem to be there, especially in this area, for that to come back.
I'm not putting it all on like the fans of women's wrestling either, but
no. I'm saying for wrestling fans in general. Like, I don't think it's just women's wrestling fans.
And like, I'm just using it as an example. Like, if the show is poorly attended, it doesn't necessarily make or break women's matches in AIW, but like the point is like there are people that like complain to us about it all the time, or like, and it's like we're giving it to you. You know what I mean? We're trying to figure out solutions to these things, and it's just like, we're trying to, Ziggy and Katie and Jocelyn, like they need more people to work with, and we need more. We need more places to establish it, like I just don't know how, using a main show to, establish, new fresh faces. I don't think that's necessarily the place to do it. And I don't think the crowd would be very receptive to it by like throwing an extra match in there with no context, and then, we can't necessarily put the women's match on as a dark match because we would get flack for that as well. So it's kind of like you can't win sort of thing. So it's like we want to use these Thursdays to do more, to establish more women, and then right away you have someone new for Jocelyn to work with, you have someone new for Katie to work with, you have someone new for Ziggy to work with. You know what I mean? There's just like so many different possibilities. And then, if we do another Thursday, then, we can bring in, 2 more women and, like just start like slowly reintroducing, a division as opposed to, like the start and stop and, things like that. Like, I don't like, and the same goes for like, this is, it's not a women's wrestling thing. It's like also like for just a lot of the talent that are on the show, like the students, like, I don't think people would be receptive if, we just put, two students on in a singles match at the temple, you know what I mean? And your 8-match show is now 9, because we're using it to, establish new characters. Like, I don't think, I think those are like pay-per-views, in a way, to where we have to find these other avenues to establish all these new characters and make people care about them. And like, I know that people are going to focus on, that we've said women's wrestling, but it's not women's wrestling. It's just introducing new characters as a whole to, the AIW fan base and making them care about, what's going on. Cause I just don't think, and we've seen it over time where, you put in, this match just for the sake of getting somebody on, and like, it kind of kills the momentum of the show. And like, that's not to say that everybody on Thursday isn't talented. It's to say that we need to slowly reintroduce them, and make people care, like, I think a perfect example is, Tyson Riggs has been around for a year, you know what I mean? And he's just, he's done some shows, done a lot of pre-shows. And, he's finally just starting people to really react to what he does. But, that's been, a year and a half of like pre-shows and random sporadic things. You know what I mean? Like, and in February, like I thought he looked the best that he's ever looked, and it's just like,
yeah.
It takes time. But like if we have these Thursday events that we can dedicate to so many, kind of under the radar and underutilized positions, it's so much easier than, to have, viable footage of Tyson Riggs or Gina Marie or, Shelby Wilder, or like anybody that's on the show really, and like Zay Garcia. And then you have that kind of thread to kind of work them in.
Tyson's great. I was talking to him at the last show, and we had kind of put him over a little bit on the podcast, or you did. And I said, "Hey, did you hear Thorne putting you over on the podcast last week?" I was, "No, listen to that shit." And then he turned around and walked away. I thought it was great. I said, "Okay, see you later."
Maybe if you listen to, you get a little bit more opportunity.
Ain't that the truth? Pay attention to what's going on. Follow the product.
I think maybe he does, but he just was faving me a little bit there. But it was just very funny. He said, "I don't listen to that shit," and turned around and walked away.
Yeah. I think for guys like Tyson Riggs, guys like Adeline Black, guys like even like the really newer students like the Alex Melees and Zay Garcias, the guys who we really haven't seen much out of yet. Like, this is such a big opportunity for them,
like Dr.
to show what they can do and who they are. Dr. Danielson Rockingham coming back from the dead.
He wants to work his way back in. He did Gauntlet, and he got into that surprise Absolution Scramble, but he hasn't been seen since. I'm sure he would love to be back on, as a regular roster member. But it takes time for all that, and it's just. That's where I think I guess the point I'm trying to make is like internally we've had such deep discussions about the importance of these Thursdays becoming successful for just kind of the viability of the future of AIW, and it's and we are like I don't want to say developmental because that's like such like a pretentious thing to say about independent wrestling show, but like we want to use it to develop, more acts and characters and things. And, now we're doing Intense TV and we're doing all these kind of different things to where we have all these different ways to kind of grow and feature things. And like, this is how we do it. So, I would really love for it to go well on Thursday, and if it doesn't go well, we have things to reevaluate, and I don't want to take it out of context that like, oh, like if it doesn't do well, we're never doing a women's match again. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we need to establish new women's roster members, and this is the perfect place to do it. And then, going forward, if one Thursday becomes 2 Thursdays and 2 Thursdays turns into 6 Thursdays a year, there's a ton of opportunity to establish so many more women's talent, so many more of these students. And then, these people that have been driving in and helping out, Dex Royal always has people in the car, and all these different talents that are trying to get an opportunity. This is where they will happen at. But, we do need a crowd there to make sure, the expenses are at least, getting covered.
Yeah, I mean, it's we've said it a few times too. Like these Thursday shows, you almost said like student shows in parentheses, whatever. But I mean, there's plenty of legitimacy to the show. We have a title match, it's an intense title match. There's plenty of main character, main roster guys. You got the production open challenge with Derek and Katie. There's plenty of guys and girls on this card that are mainstay names. a card full of people you've never heard of. But to your point though too, it's you think about Isaiah Broner's first show was a Thursday show. You know what I mean? That's where you're bringing in people like that, that get a chance that maybe there's nowhere to put some new brand new faces on some of these a Tadmore show or an Intense Asylum show. It's just impossible to do. You know what I mean? So, and then, like you said, there's people backstage every show that ride in with somebody else or blah, blah, faces, brand new faces that people, you'd never seen in AIW before. But unfortunately, the Thursday is the only place that we can really slide people in. But like I said, I think the Thursday show is extremely legitimate. You got a title match. You got all kinds of stuff. So I can't wait for Thursday.
And I mean, like you said, a perfect example that Isaiah Broner's first match was a Thursday. Zachary Nystrom's first match was a Thursday at the Winchester. Both of these guys now are title holders in AIW.
Right.
So like the sky is the limit as to what they can do and what they can, what just getting the small little platform in front of an AIW audience can do. But like we need the AIW audience to be there, and then, also, the kind of like double-edged, sword, so to speak, is these people, the students, especially the locals, bringing people out to support them. And then, you know what I mean? Like it creates new fans and it creates this synergy. And then it's like, oh, you know what? Like Nipsey Nash is like a huge following, like let's toss him in a scramble on a main show, like let's do more with him, like just stuff like that. To where, it's just, it's mutually beneficial for everybody. And I think somebody like people hated Wes Barkley. Wes Barkley would bring crowds, you know what I mean? And when he brought crowds, it kind of moved him up the chain. You could say the same about Shaw Mason or Eric Taylor, or there's so many of these guys, Austin James, like when we're looking and there's like, oh, you know what, like we got this extra spot here or this thing here, this opportunity here, it is a business at the end of the day. So it's like, everybody is kind of, at the same level playing field in a way. So it's like, you're going to go like, you know what? Like, I think Austin James is going to, somebody's going to sponsor him to be in the J-Lit. He's in the J-Lit, like just little things like that, and it's just like, it gives you a competitive edge, so to speak, among your peers. And, like it's, maybe it's not fair or people don't like it, but like, that's just reality is, it is a business at the end of the day. So, like somebody like Sidney Von England is extremely talented, but he's fighting an uphill battle because he is from England. You know what I mean? He doesn't know anybody here. Like, so he's always fighting an uphill battle to establish himself. But, if he has a insane showing at one of these Thursday shows, it's going to help him leapfrog, the guy that, might be able to sell 5 more tickets than him. And like, I think maybe we're getting a little too inside baseball in this podcast. I don't know, but it's just that's just the way it is. It's reality. When it does impact decision making.
Do you want to run down some of these matches? I know we still have some. There's been some stuff announced. There's been a couple that have not yet. I know we may be announcing some stuff on Intense TV this week. Real quick, too, do you want to address as far as, because that normally airs on Thursdays. We've had two in a row air on a Thursday at 7:55. This week,
Dustin, what do you think? What do you think?
That's so I think the decision was made that because of the Thursday night shows, if there's a Thursday night show, we are moving Intense TV to Wednesdays at 7:55 instead of Thursdays at 7:55. So you will get the same show just the day before.
I think.
And it'll kind of give you a little bit more information.
Because we should maybe go at 6:55, so we're not head to head with my good personal friend Tony Khan. I don't want to impact.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I don't want to.
Let's move up. Yeah, we want to hurt them too bad. We don't want to get on their radar, taking their ratings away.
I know ratings are a big discussion on the internet, so maybe you
can't be
stepping on toes on Wednesday. 6:55.
I like that move. 6:55 Wednesday.
Or what time's Dynamite over? 10? 9:55?
That seems so late. I'll be sleeping by then.
6:55 is the move.
Dustin, do you have a bottle of that green water when you're directing these intense TV?
The green. I'm going to start bringing it.
Or
with
we
me.
can start at 6, and then the actual stream would start at 6:05. A little.
Oh, I like that idea a lot. Here we are. This is how this works, guys. When you want to know what an AIW booking meeting's like, this is it. It's just back and forth. I like 6:05. I think that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
6:05 on Wednesdays.
To, get everything secured and completed. But yeah, definitely gonna put it out there on Wednesday. We'll probably expose a little bit of the stuff here early that's supposed to be getting announced on Wednesday at 6:05. But yeah, let's because there's some big stuff that isn't announced yet that we were kind of saving for that. Let's push the show over the edge thing.
Yeah. Well, we did have an announcement per se on Intense TV of one of the matches. Shelby Wilder gonna get a chance to get back in the ring here, but it seems Jeff from corporate is making him pay back a little bit of the expenses that were used from a few shows ago.
And I think the problem is that Jeff from corporate doesn't think that he was actually hurt. That was what it was. He sent him to another follow-up with another doctor.
He's got another doctor.
Wasn't working for him.
For Shelby for a follow-up.
It was a $35,000 hospital bill.
But we will have Shelby Wilder taking on Dr. Daniel C. Rockingham, like we said earlier. That's as a match. Like you said, you saw Dan in that scramble at Absolution, and then we saw him in the Gauntlet for Gold. But he hasn't been around since then. So we will have Dr. Dan back. We saw Dr. Dan at Wrestle Rager. We saw Honeymoon Dan. I don't know if that
we did.
Honeymoon
we
Dan
did the Honeymoon
counts,
Dan
for regular Dr. Dan, but we will get those two in action. I'm pretty excited to see
the company.
You know what I like
doctor.
about that match? That's the company doctor, but like it's two guys who are kind of coming back. I mean, obviously one's hiatus was a little bit longer than the other, but they're both coming back from hiatus. Both have a lot to prove. Like we said, find a spot on the roster. It's a big something to prove type match, and those are always good.
Yeah, I think I don't want to put Dr. Dan over a little too much. We have our differences that we're still working through a little bit, but I do think that this is a really good matchup. Just skill wise, Dan has some deceivingly really impressive wrestling skills that he's never totally gotten a chance to show based on how he was used and presented over the years. So I think he wants to kind of take the reins off and let it loose, because he did experience such a long time of not having wrestling in his life. So I think he's really kind of looking to let the wheels fall off a little bit on Thursday. And I think Shelby Wilder has a ton to prove, just based on he had that he was just getting started, gets an injury like a month after he debuts, and then has to come back, and unfortunately the biggest rah welcome back moment is to wrestle his trainer Dominic Carini, which he had absolutely probably zero chance of ever beating. So, I think that, this is kind of his for real kind of comeback in the, hey, now I really have something to prove, and I think, I was not like a big fan of the cowboy thing at all. But I think that he's taking every opportunity that he can to make it work and show that it can work. And, it is working, and he's investing in, he's invested in a great presentation and great gear, and he stands out. And, I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but, I know people that were at the Eye for an Eye show, and, they were like, well, this guy really stands out because, he has a completely different presentation, doesn't come out to rap music, it just stands out like from the realm of, just indie wrestling norms. It's just like the whole thing. He comes out to a country song. He's a cowboy. Like he has flashy looking gear. Like the whole thing, the whole presentation is
that mustache.
Yeah, he has a mustache. Like the whole thing, though, the whole thing is different. To where it's it makes people pay attention. But on the flip side of that, Dr. Dan always has great looking gear. Like always invests in himself as well. So these guys both are doing and have done similar things. Dan always, was a little bit outside of the, the norms of an indie wrestler presentation as well. So I don't know, like initially, I let kind of Dom doctor up a lineup, and this was a match that I changed myself that I wanted to see. He initially had both of them on the show, but doing different things. And, I said, you know what, I made this switch to this match because I think that they're a great matchup for each other.
Interesting. I can't wait for it. Let's see what they give us. Going forward in the card, we have another storyline that's been going kind of since last year. We're going to see Austin James and Vic Vice do business once again, and these two have been beating the hell out of each other for a while now. I'm very excited to see the culmination, I would think, of whatever this feud has been.
Going back to what we were just talking about, this is what everybody wanted to see, the big end.
Right.
Show me how bad you wanted to see this final chapter.
And the feud.
Giving them
feud.
No restrictions, no time limits, letting them get it all out of their system. Again, both guys, a ton to prove, obviously, and they've been on that bubble of, getting on shows and, here and there, but not always on shows. Both guys in the J-Lit this year. Both guys out first round of the J-Lit this year. So, I don't think either of these guys want to be in the bubble. I think, this is, a match to see, like, hey, am I made to, find my spot on, more temple shows, more shrine shows, or, am I going to kind of still have to, figure myself out, and on the pre-show and on Thursdays or on, the spot shows that, we pick up throughout the year. So I think that there's a lot of stakes on here, more than just your traditional pro wrestling feud. I think that there's a lot of kind of career implications that go along with this match.
Yeah, and this match happened the first time it happened was at Gauntlet for the Gold on a pre-show. And it was like so good. Everybody was like shocked by how good it was. They were just thought it was going to be a pre-show match. And they just went out there and just tore it up. And then brought it into the Gauntlet, and they've been wanting to run it back. And now here we are months later, like they both gotten so much better. This match is going to be one not to miss.
Going forward on the card, this one, Chuck Stone, a guy who's been ascending the ranks in the AIW very quickly, in my opinion. I think Chuck has come on very strong. Versus one of John Thorne's guys, Alex Melee. This is kind of a clash of two styles. Alex is kind of a newer talent on the AIW scene. Chuck has been around for a minute. He's, proving himself as a singles competitor. I think Chuck is pound for pound, one of the best guys in the biz. And I think we're going to see why here on Thursday.
Yeah, let me jump in really quick. You'll see a little bit of how this match came to be on Intense TV this week. It isn't just a match that was put together.
Excellent.
If you know what I mean.
So there's something going on behind.
I got nothing to do with this one. This is all Jeff.
This is all Jeff from corporate.
If you want a little context, but as far as my analysis, two of my absolute favorites. So I'm really just looking forward to it. And honestly, I think Chuck Stone is doing some of his. He is doing the best work of his career. I've said it a million times. He just is totally a different performer in the last, 7-8 months. And, unfortunately for Alex Melee, who I think is extremely talented, I don't know how it's going to go for him, but both guys I think have just a ton of upside, and I'm just honestly, that's what I love about these Thursdays is like you can do matches like this and like put them together, and you would probably, if you wanted to see this on the Temple show, you would need it probably wouldn't even be on the whiteboard of ideas for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like they're just so far away from each other and at different points of their careers. But on a Thursday, you can put this match out there, and who knows? It could be a star-making performance for Alex Melee, and it all it takes is something like that. And like I was talking about a little bit before, but like I thought Tyson Riggs, really just looked the best he's looked yet at Eye for an Eye on the pre-show match. Like I just thought, him and Zay Garcia just absolutely ripped it up. And, like we're talking about the tickets and all these different things that kind of give people competitive edges, also just a unbelievable blowaway performance can give you that competitive edge as well. So like, there's just, I don't know, like I feel like my brain is like constantly just like moving things up and down like a slot machine, and like there's just so many different implications that can happen from this show. But I think this match, like Chuck Stone is, he's pretty secure in where he's at and where his spot is at. But somebody like Alex Melee, if he can have just a just unreal star making performance on Thursday night, like that might kind of, help him leapfrog a couple people on the roster.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what you were saying about why this stuff is so important. These Thursday shows are so important if you're the talent, you know what I mean? This is the moment and your chance to really, like you said, especially nowadays with GIFs and viral shit. You have one really big viral moment that could change the course of your career in AIW. You know what I'm saying? And a Thursday night show is a perfect place to have something like that happen.
Yeah, no GIFs because we're not streaming, but maybe Justin Summers or Michael Porter or somebody can get some some Twitter. Regular old video clips rolling out there.
Right. Going forward in the card here, we have a 4-way match that I do not think was announced. Dustin can tell me if maybe there's something to this on Intense TV or something like that.
Yeah, this is also a Jeff from Corporate call. Kind of almost a punishment was how it seems once you see the video of what happened.
We have
heck of a 4-way.
Versus Tyler Jordan versus Kaplan versus Sam Holloway. So yeah, I'm not sure who's getting punished in this one, but there's going to be some punishment handed out by some people for sure.
I will tell you, it's not who you think it is. It's not who you think it is.
Tune in this Wednesday at 6.
Yeah.
This Wednesday at 6:05.
I'm just
Absolute Intense Wrestling.
Again, kind of the same
Intense TV.
kind of the same position that I just had is, you get to do these kind of random combinations and, just different things. And this is a perfect example of that, right? Like Sam, Kaplan, Tyler, Marino, like you would never see this on a regular show. I don't know the context. I'm excited to learn the context on Wednesday, but, I'm just, just totally different talents, but I gotta say, like one of Kaplan's best performances was when he was in that scramble a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. Low key, one of the best Kaplan in ring, just chaos. Like he's just a chaos bringer. So like just perfect. This is just perfect as far as I'm concerned.
I don't disagree with you at all.
I would say we could leave it at that and check in Intense TV and see some more for more context on that one. Going forward in the match, or in the card, the other flip side to the PME coin, we're going to see Philadelphia Collins taking on Eidolon Black. This should be an interesting matchup. Eidolon Black, a guy we haven't seen too much of in AIW. But again, these Thursday shows, a perfect opportunity for guys that you don't get to see too often, kind of really get the show out and show you, what they got. I know I've seen clips of Eidolon out. He's been wrestling out at other places, kind of honing this craft and what he's got going on with this character. And I'm excited to see it, in AIW here.
Is that how you say it? How do you say it?
It's Eidolon Black.
Yeah, Eidolon Black.
Yeah, I don't really know too much about the this whole new presentation. I can say that I was in a hotel room with Eidolon and the Boogeyman, and there was things discussed, which this is now, I guess, the execution or attempt at reintroduction. I know that he had, I sat there. I honestly, I've never wished that I had my phone recording ever more than that moment. But just a fascinating conversation. And I'm not even being funny about it. It was just such a fascinating conversation that these two had about this new character that he wanted to do. And, I know that he did one kind of pre-show thing. He hasn't really gotten much of an opportunity to do it in AIW. I know he's kind of been out, on the road working it out at different places. But this is his opportunity to kind of do the full pitch, so to speak. And unfortunately, he's in there with savvy ring general of Philadelphia Collins. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this and looking forward to seeing how this whole thing goes, because I don't really know much about it other than I was there when this was presented, discussed, ideas were bounced off the Boogeyman, and if that's not an endorsement, I don't know what is.
Right. Dustin, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, I think that's about it. Philly Collins is such an underrated talent, just generally, any go back and find it a Philly Collins singles match. Go back and watch him versus Broner from J-Lit a couple of years ago. That's such a good match. And not just as a tag team, as a tag team, PME are so good, but Philly and Marino both as singles competitors are just next level as well. It's what makes them as great as they are. And this is a test for Eidolon Black. See if he can hang with some of the best AEW has to offer. That's we'll figure that out sooner or later, hopefully.
All right, keep it going here. We do have, like I said earlier, we have a title match. We have an intense title match between intense champion Eric Taylor versus the former champ Wes Barkley, looking to get that rematch. Finally getting a singles rematch.
I think this is one that people thought was going to happen at Eye for an Eye, and it didn't. And Wes kind of took the mic and called a shot, and got the win there. And I think he knows he can beat him, and I think he feels that he was taken advantage of under the circumstances of having that cash in. That J-Lit, that's the whole point. Winning the J-Lit, you get that anytime you want title shot. Never been cashed in on the Intense title before. That was a first. So I think now that kind of the battlefield is leveled, so to speak, that element of surprise is not there. I think Wes fully intends to regain his title, which would be a huge moment on a Thursday show that is not streaming live. I think that that's just it's that anything can happen sort of thing we've been going for with AIW. I certainly think that 100% Wes Barkley can regain that Thursday. He lives literally, 50 feet from the Mercury Lounge. He can walk there. So, home field advantage for sure for Wes Barkley this Thursday. And, no money shot on the card. No Duke on the card. So
I was going to say, I don't see Duke in the graphic or anything like that. That was actually going to be my question.
It's tax season.
Yeah, he's a busy guy.
I was gonna say, dude's got to be pretty busy right now.
That's why, I think Wes called a shot here. So, it's probably the best, most level playing field he's going to get. And, I'm looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to, these guys, they met in the J-Lit. I think that, now, this is the main event on Thursday. There's no question about it. I think that, Eric Taylor wants to prove that he is a definitive champion, and I think Wes Barkley wants to prove that he should have never lost that belt. I think that's, just the perfect kind of wrestling story. Kind of this good versus evil thing. It's hitting all the kind of cliches that you want to hit in pro wrestling. And, with no stream, no restrictions, no time restraints, I think that these guys are absolutely going to go out there and try to have, career-defining performances.
Absolutely. As you said, as the main event, we probably should have did that one last, but I have a little weird order going on in the match card here, so that's my fault. But going forward in the card, the production, we have an open challenge on the card here. The production, Katie Arquette and Derek Dillinger issuing an open challenge. I'm not sure if we're going to get are we going to get any info from that from Intense TV, or is that just kind of just open?
Nothing on this. We don't know who they're facing. I don't know what the plan is.
Anything can happen at AIW.
Could be anything.
Love a good surprise.
You don't want to miss Thursday night.
Could be anyone. We don't know what Danhausen is doing in Tougher Than Leather. What if it has something to do with this? We don't know what could happen on Thursday night. You don't know who's going to be there. No, that's true. Yeah. Thursday nights. That's why we had to move it up, because Wednesdays are the nights where they do television tapings. Maybe.
Going forward, two guys we were actually speaking about earlier. We're going to see Tyson Riggs, Bear Shark Martial Arts versus Nipsey Nash, everybody's favorite hustler. Two guys newer to the fold. Tyson's been around obviously longer than Nipsey, but perfect Thursday night, a perfect time to see two kind of maybe lesser known AIW names kind of go at it. And like you said, Tyson been really kind of doing some of his best work since he's been around in AIW. Nipsey's been a lot of some pre-show stuff. He's been here and there, and I'm excited to see what these two are going to do this Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, I've already, given Tyson Riggs enough praise on this episode, but, I really think he's kind of trying to, not trying to, but he's really kind of coming into his own and getting comfortable with, his, just overall presentation, offense, all that. And I think that, he certainly wants to be one of those guys that works his way up into the, the main cards and get himself into, a main roster, quote unquote, feud. Nipsey Nash is a guy that I think has there's no ceiling on his charisma and his just overall likability. I think that there is, some to be desired with his in-ring work, and that is where, if he, again, just like I said about Alex Melee, if he goes out there and he has a just blow away performance that nobody, I guess, from, the office end of things it sees coming, that is certainly going to open some eyes, especially, for myself, for sure. I think he's one of those guys that has everything else going. He's light years ahead of so many people as far as his just charisma and, just likability and just comfortability in everything he does. But he does have to get, figure out his in-ring. And I think if he could put that together, which is, we've been beating it in on this podcast, but that's the point of these Thursday events. If he can put those final pieces, together in the puzzle, I think, just incredible, just potential for his stock to rise. He's just, he's got all the other tools. We've talked about it a million times. A perfect example is like Twan Tucker, who was light years ahead of everybody else as far as all that stuff is concerned. Needed to, put other things together, and ultimately, Twan has kind of fallen off the face of the earth. Hopefully he returns one day, Dr. Dan style, and, he is a force to be reckoned with. I think, Twan is probably if you want to talk about the just biggest wasted opportunity to come out of the AIW Academy, he was given everything, and he had so much going for him, and he just ultimately didn't put it together, and we haven't seen him in years. But I think Nipsey Nash is kind of in that category to where he's so light years ahead on different things that it takes other people so long to figure out. If he can figure out the wrestling part, he has just unlimited potential.
Like you said, I mean, that's just the benefit of these Thursdays. The more opportunities we can give some of these people, the faster you're going to see some of this stuff, develop and be where we want it to be. Going forward in the card, oops, go ahead, Dustin, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and that's like Nipsey Nash, that's what he needs. He needs that time in front of the AEW crowd. Like, it's not a matter of like when he's going to get, or if he's going to get over. It's a matter of when he's going to get over. And these are the opportunities for him to do that in front of them and show them what people see outside of the ring from him, I guess would be the way to do it.
Moving forward in the card, got a couple more here. We do have a women's match returning to AIW again. Zaya Brookside, this time taking on the debuting Gina Marie. I'm not the most well-versed in women's wrestling, unfortunately. That's my fault. But Gina Marie is from IWC, I think you said?
She was signed to WWE NXT.
Okay.
And has, she started, kind of showing up in independents in the area, doing IWC, doing some Pittsburgh independents, doing some, some other things. Obviously she wants to work her way back to that contract in that job. So she has a ton to prove. And, Zaya Brookside, was kind of in the same boat and is recently signed with TNA Wrestling. I thought, much in the kind of realm of, how I've talked about Dex Royal, that, that show that I went to at Black Label, I saw so many talents for the first time live and in person, and, that a great, like we've been talking about on this show, like this podcast about this show, but a great kind of blow away performance can, really just elevate you in my mind. And I saw Zaya Brookside wrestle at that Black Label show, and I thought she was it's so incredibly talented. And, that's why we brought her in, and she worked with Katie a couple months ago. And, we've been trying to think of a way to get her back into the mix. And, like we said, it's just hard to kind of, try to, force somebody into this spot when we have all these kind of different stories and different things developing, and then, she has now her TNA schedule. And, so we were just trying to figure out ways to kind of, where we can bring her back. And then, it's like, hey, she doesn't have a booking on a Thursday. Because, also, not for nothing, we've said all these different things, but there are far less girl performers than there are male performers. And the girl performers are booked up and they're very sought after, especially on a Friday and a Saturday, so it's a lot easier to kind of, do this and establish these relationships on these Thursday shows. So we were able to kind of, work out a deal to bring her back. And, Gina Marie was somebody that, we were looking for an opponent. And, it goes back to that same thing, like, do we want to just bring Zaya in and she works with Jocelyn and then, that's it? Or, do we want to take this opportunity to establish, another new female talent? And I thought that was going to be more beneficial long-term for AIW and, building different people up to bring in a fresh face. So, we kind of were looking around and, seeing who's out there and who's available. And we've been hearing a ton about Gina, and we reached out and we were able to work out a deal because, like I said, it's a lot easier to secure these bookings, on a Thursday as well for the female talents. So, that's really the story here is, there's really no dog in this fight, so to speak, I think for anybody other than, somebody's going to win and somebody's probably going to be invited back. And, the person that loses might also be invited back down the line. It's just about establishing kind of new people on the roster and kind of, putting new people into the talent pool.
And for someone like Gina Marie, like the AIW history of hitting on women's performers, like finding the right, like just like being their home, like somebody like a Mia Yim, somebody like an Allison Kay, like the list goes on and on. Shayna Baszler, like AIW is like a place where like women's wrestling and women's wrestlers have found a place to be elevated. And for Gina Marie, who's a relatively unknown when it comes to the professional wrestling scene, like this is a great place for her to maybe find her footing, make a name for herself, and become a star on that level.
Moving forward, last match we have here on the list, we have a tag match. We're going to see Dominic Greeny and Shawn Mason tagging versus Sydney Von England and Zay Garcia. This should be a good one. I know Sid and Sydney and Zay have a bit of a stable going with Vic. I believe Bax is what they're calling themselves. So this will be an opportunity for us to see in AIW to see something I've seen them out on the road, taking their act around, working this out on the road, and I'm excited to see it here in AIW. Zay Garcia, a guy that I'm really excited for. I think Zay has a huge ceiling, and I think Sid is a very underrated talent personally.
Yeah, I think this is just a great opportunity for especially Sid and Zay. If they can get a win over Shaw and Dom. Now we have a new tag team established. You know what I mean? Like, there's just, I don't know. Like, I get excited about the potential of this whole just idea of everything that can come out of this Thursday, and just how you can use it to just develop and establish so many different things, and just I don't know, drop breadcrumbs for different stuff that we can do down the line, and it's just that I think that this is going to be your big heavy hitting match on the card. I don't think that there's anybody that thinks it's going to be anything else, but it's I just think that there's so much, like Sid is, like you said, he's super underrated. I like Sid too, and I think that Sid has a ton of upside. He's tried, and he's unfortunately he's been in that trying different ways to present himself and kind of establish himself. He's been around for a couple of years. You've seen him do a few different kind of presentations, and he's still been trying to figure it out and work it out. And, like we've talked about with Tyson Riggs, same thing. He finally feels like it's clicking for him. And I think that Sid, kind of, who's been out on the road with Zay Garcia, I think that it's clicking for him now as well. And he's finding that confidence. Like we've talked about Chuck Stone, finding that confidence is, it's just paramount in, becoming what you envision yourself when you sign up at a wrestling school. You have all these kind of, just delusions about what you're going to become. But, finding the confidence once you're in an actual wrestling ring is a completely different thing. And I feel like Sid is really finding that and feeling more comfortable. And I think, collateral damage is, from that is, Zay Garcia is a guy that showed up at training confident and has never second guessed himself. And I think that kind of has, rubbed off on Sid, even though Sid is, the longer, tenured veteran. I just think that, sometimes you just need to be around a little bit of youth, and, it clicks.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of potential for this show on Thursday. I think it's big time potential for this show Thursday. Really excited. Hope to see everybody out there. $20 at the door. All tickets $20. Do we have any of the early admission left, or is it all sold out?
Oh yeah, we do. I think we got 10 of them left.
Okay, if you want to get in early, because there is usually a smattering of kind of seats, and there's some table areas sort of in the back. So if you want to get in early, you can grab those seats up. It's $5 extra, but all tickets $20. Full bar, like John Thorne said. The place is great. I love Mercury Music Lounge. I like the venue that we're the room that the show is in. I think is a good spot.
It's bigger than the Winchester room. For people that used to come on Thursdays, there's a lot more room to spread out in there. There's a lot better sight lines of the ring and the show. So, if you didn't go to the Halloween show at Mercury Music Lounge, this is kind of a whole different presentation than what we were doing at the Winchester, which is why we are hopeful that we can make it successful and do more of these, because it is a bigger space. There is a lot more room. It is a better fan experience, I think, overall. So, we're hopeful that it's successful, but we need people to come out for it to be successful. They want people in there drinking, and buying food, and they want a busy bar on a Thursday night. That's why they're taking a chance on us. If we don't do good, they'll just book a band or something. That's just kind of, that's the entertainment business. If we don't bring a crowd, we go down the priority list. If we bring a crowd, we go up the priority list. That's just, we were saying about, the students that, have people come out support them versus the ones that don't, we're in the same kind of boat. If we don't deliver, they're not going to really consider us for dates that we want to do there again. But if we deliver, maybe, we edge out the karaoke guy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yeah, it's
Can we get a karaoke guy?
I think we can make that happen. Hasn't been
They had it last night.
Post-show karaoke?
yeah, after the Halloween show, that was.
Did they?
That was the big thing in the other room was karaoke.
I had to leave.
They had to be in one room and karaoke in the other room.
Oh man, if they have karaoke again, that'd be so awesome.
I was going to say, you're going to
I
sing
might
a
have to
tune,
call off
Dustin?
work the next day.
What's your go-to karaoke?
I always sing a tune. I love singing a tune. I have so many go-to karaoke songs, Pat. I can't just
Show
be giving
up on
away
Thursday and
can't just
find
be giving
out.
away my secrets. Yeah, that's right. Tim Donson once called me the world heavyweight champion of karaoke.
Tim Don's a stand-up comedian now.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Is he really?
That's former.
Yeah, somebody sent me
Former
some,
mini golf
Tim Don
champion.
stand-up comedy the other day. Was it you, Dustin? Who sent me that?
Yeah, I was going to say, send that to me.
No, I'd love to see it though.
Okay. All right. Well, anything else before we get out of here? There wasn't any questions or anything in the Discord. If you want to be a Patreon, we do have all different levels on the Patreon tiers. As low as $5.
And we are actively working on that redevelopment of the tiers and what you get and everything like that. That is in the process. We hope to roll it out, either next month or by April 1st, I think.
Okay. If you'd like to sponsor AIW for any of the shows, Intense TV, we're always looking for sponsorships. Email Jim at AIWrestling.com and he'll get you working on anything, any sponsorship deals, any type of, if you have a brand or anything like that.
Yeah, and if you watched Intense TV, there's some great branding locations. You get that whole 5-minute countdown clock. You get, whatever the name is of your company and the title of the video that goes across all of our social media platforms. I mean, there's a lot that you get out of that. So, don't pass it up. Trust me, it's very affordable advertising for the amount of people it reaches. I think.
Yeah, on Intense TV, we got space for commercials.
Yeah,
if you got actual video commercials,
I think every episode,
we're out here for you guys.
Impressions across all of the platforms, we're easily getting 10,000 plus impressions on each episode, so far the first 2 weeks, so it's getting, you get a lot of action for the price. Trust me, it is very, very cheap. So hit up Jim at AIWrestling.com. Let's get you sponsoring a week of Intense TV.
Absolutely. Anything else before we get out of here, boys?
I got nothing. I've said
No, I don't think
I've said
anything.
too
Honestly,
much,
show up
probably,
on Thursday.
podcast. People are gonna not like my reality-based explanations of how these students need to draw, but that's. I mean, that's the same boat we're in. We got to draw, or else we're not getting a show at that place anymore. It's just kind of it all kind of rolls down. Yeah, and so it's just like
It's domino effect.
I don't know. It's pressure, but it's also like if we don't cover, we don't cover. And I'm very confident in March 22nd. We've already sold out the front row. We've already sold out all the tables. I think that has the potential to be the biggest AIW show of all time once it's all said and done. When everything rolls out, and all there's more special guests that are to come. Don't fuck up and miss that show live. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because there's stuff that still hasn't even been announced yet. There's some major stuff that has been announced. Yes.
Yeah, stay tuned to Intense TV. That's all I'll say.
But don't and also
Never know what you're gonna find out.
April 20th, just on Patreon, over 50% of the front row tickets sold. So
Hell yeah.
that show is, we just kind of put it out there to kind of, just have it out there. was shocked when, that show has sold more pre-sale for April than we've sold this Thursday. So
not the rap show.
yeah, and it's not the rap show either. Like, it's just you couldn't pass up on that name. But the rap show was going to be in June. But yeah, so I mean, we're trying to get organized. We're trying to get things out there. I really, even though Thursday is a little doom and gloom, Thursday is not a show that would cripple the company. It's just a show that if it doesn't do good, we don't do any more of them. And we focus just on the temple and the shrine. And I do feel like this is going to be like, I really do feel like this is our year, or whatever you want to say. Like, I think we're going to do some of our biggest crowds this year in 2024. It's already just the way March 22nd is trending. And I know we got some things in our back pocket that we still got to roll out. I think that's going to be huge. I think, just people coming to AIW on 420, just that idea is going to be huge. And Gauntlet for the Gold is going to be fucking gigantic. That's all I'm saying. Like, fucking gigantic. So fucking get on board, get on the email list, get on the Patreon. You're not going to want to miss getting these fucking tickets. I'm never this confident, and I know that those 3 shows are going to do fucking huge numbers. I'm fully 100% confident in what we've put together on all 3 of those right now. I fucking want to fill that fucking lower bowl. I don't even want to fill the fucking temple. I just want to fill the lower bowl. That's my goal. And I think we have a great chance to do that in March. And if not March, fucking for sure in May.
Hell yeah. All right, well, for everyone here, for everyone at AIW, for John Thorne, for Dustin Alberti, I am Ronald Two Legs. We'll see everybody this Thursday at the Mercury Music Lounge, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.
See you guys there.